Hey, it's Alex from Board Game Co over here, and today we're doing another episode of Should You Play It? If you're new to this playlist, in Should You Play It, I take two games with a certain amount of comparison, a certain amount of overlap, similarities, all that, and then I, shockingly enough, compare them. In today's episode, we are covering Seven Wonders and It's a Wonderful World. Now, to begin with, I'm going to go over a brief overview of the various games, what they have in common, how they're different, and at the end I will give you my own opinion, my own preference as to which game is a better game, as well as is the loser staying in my collection and why. Sometimes they both stay in my collection, sometimes they don't. It's never about a game being bad, rather a game being better. Now we're going to start with Seven Wonders, because Seven Wonders has been around for quite some time. Seven Wonders has been I think it's 2008, might even be earlier, by Antoine Baza. It is one of the first games I got when getting into games for the first time, and take that into account, by the way, when I get to the opinion part. Is it a game that I've had for so long and therefore I love it, or is it a game that I've become jaded with and just waiting for the next replacement? But in any case, Seven Wonders has drafting as a central mechanism. In fact, both these games have drafting as a central mechanism, which is why they're being compared. They both play in a fairly short playtime, maybe half an hour to 45 minutes. They both handle variable player counts decently, although Seven Wonders does have more of a variance. It goes up to 7 players, whereas It's a Wonderful World only goes to 5. It's a Wonderful World does have a solo mode, whereas Seven Wonders doesn't. But let's go into Seven Wonders. Seven Wonders is going to take place over 3 ages, in which you're going to draft cards. You're going to draft these cards over here, age by age, and you're going to have a wonder board, a board where you have to build a wonder. You don't actually have to build a wonder. It's one of many strategic choices you'll make in the game. But what you're going to do is in each age you're going to draft cards. There's 7 different types of cards, hence the Seven Wonders. In those 7 cards, there are 2 different types of resources. There's victory point cards, there's science, there's marketplace cards, there's guilds, and then there's war cards. And all of those cards are going to factor into your strategy. You need resources in order to actually successfully build up anything. For the most part, there are tricks around that. You need marketplace cards to give you money and or cheaper resources and or other abilities. You need point cards because points is how you win games. You need war cards to win the war at the end of each age. At the end of each age, you and the player to your left and your right are going to fight, and whoever has the most strength will win. You need science cards because if you have a little bit of science, it'll help you a little. If you have a lot of science, you will cascade victory points upon each other. Additionally, science cards give you options to get free cards later. So it's very thematic in that sense that building up and investing in the future will not just invest in the end game, but will help you in the mid game as well. And finally, guild cards offer you unique special options that mix up the game to game to give you different ways of scoring points that are not otherwise there. And the guild cards vary game to game. As opposed to the rest of the cards that are the same, the guild cards mix it up. You're going to go through this in 3 different ages. You're going to have, and with each card, you can play it for its ability. You can discard it for 3 coins, or you can discard it to build a stage of your wonder. And drafting cards is so much fun. This is one of many of those games that every decision you make is going to be tough. Do you want to go for the science? Do you want to invest with that? But what are the player to your left? If they're going for science, the player to your right is going for war. Do you need to counter the war? Do you just go straight for victory points? And what about those resources? They're not nearly as much fun, but they're kind of essential to build up your engine. Every time you hold a hand of cards, you are making multiple decisions, and they are hard decisions. And if you watched any of my videos, I love drafting. Drafting is one of my favorite game mechanics, but only when every decision is hard. Only when every decision makes you feel the pain and the torture of which card do I pick. Drafting when the decisions aren't hard completely kills it for me. You're basically taking the best thing about drafting and getting rid of it, because the whole appeal of drafting is the toughness, the hard decisions that are being made. And that in a wrap is Seven Wonders. Great game, been around for a long time, lots of expansions, which is relevant. We'll come back to that. In It's a Wonderful World, it's kind of the same basic idea. It takes place over 4 rounds. You're drafting cards every round to build up your tableau, to build up your engine, but it's very different in the actual execution. As opposed to Seven Wonders with the 7 types of cards, It's a Wonderful World really just has these cards with these icons on the side that you have to try to build up as the game progresses, and each card is going to give you resources, each card is going to cost resources, and you're trying to build up this engine, this sequential engine of cards. Where It's a Wonderful World does shine, where it has this fascinating difference in Seven Wonders that really makes it stand out, is they have this production engine that every round, in each of the 4 rounds, it's not purely okay, at the end of the round, let's see what I got. Rather, they go through a 5-step production sequence where you're producing in each of the colors. So even within each round, you're going to build a sequence of cards and then try to layer them off of each other. Well, I got this card out, which will build the black resources, and then we moved on to the green resources, and now because I built that second card doing that phase, I can build the next card. It has this layering of the way the cards progress that is very interesting. It feels very puzzly to try to min-max the way your cards will play off of each other. Additionally, in It's a Wonderful World, the cards you get can basically be put off the side to slowly be built across multiple rounds. So it handles the whole resource system very differently than Seven Wonders. So, which one do I think is better? Which one do I think is good, or whatever? What are my opinions on these two games, and which one wins the should you play it? And in today's episode, it's Seven Wonders, but with a caveat, and I'll get to that. It's a big caveat. So, Seven Wonders, I think, is the better game. I think Seven Wonders is more thematic than It's a Wonderful World. In It's a Wonderful World, they do have card types. They have military cards and other cards, and the fact that I can't really go further than that is what I mean when I say it lacks theme. In Seven Wonders, you clearly have a military card, you clearly have science cards, you clearly have point cards. In It's a Wonderful World, it's not nearly as clearly broken down. The theme is just literally just pasted on. You literally just have artwork with war on it. You don't actually have any war, you don't have any conflict, but you have a card that, shows a tank, so it's a war card. There's a theme to the resources, but it's not actually tied into the gameplay, and it feels very pasted on. So thematically, Seven Wonders wins. In terms of gameplay, speed, accessibility, they're both kind of even. I would say Seven Wonders, it's hard to say. I was going to say Seven Wonders wins, but it's hard to say. Because It's a Wonderful World, that production sequence I talked about, that I really do like, that I do enjoy, the downside of it is it's not as intuitive. It's not something we've seen before as often, that sequential production that layers off of each other, and so it's a little bit harder to explain that. The flip side is the cards in Seven Wonders are harder to explain. The Seven Wonders has more symbols that you kind of have to go over fairly quickly. It's pretty quick, but it's still more symbols. Whereas It's a Wonderful World, there's like 3 symbols. There's nothing really to keep track of in terms of that. So they both kind of level off in terms of accessibility, ease of teaching. They're both the same play length. Seven Wonders does win in the higher player count category. It can accommodate more players, but It's a Wonderful World has a solo mode and Seven Wonders does not. So again, it kind of a tie in that sense. And for me, the thing that clinches it, and this is where Seven Wonders really does clinch. So, well, actually twofold. Seven Wonders to me wins on 3 counts. The first is that, like I said, it's far more thematic. The second is that the drafting choices are much harder in Seven Wonders. In It's a Wonderful World, it doesn't feel nearly as bad when you lose the card you wanted. They all feel like just different colors. There are definitely better cards and worse cards, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, it doesn't feel nearly as painful when you lose a certain card. In Seven Wonders, when you see that other person grab the card that you're really hoping would make its way back to you, it can really hurt. There's more tenseness to the drafting choices. And finally, and this is the caveat part, Seven Wonders wins on a 3rd level because of the expansions. If I was comparing base games alone, this would be a much tighter race. I still think Seven Wonders would win because of those aforementioned 2 reasons. But the expansions just completely make it not even a contest for me. And that's something you have to take into account because It's a Wonderful World does have an expansion coming out. So, and it may have more expansions after that. It's very possible that It's a Wonderful World will be a game that I revisit at a certain point once it has more time to slowly develop in our ecosystem. But Seven Wonders has multiple expansions, of which I have only played 1 because I haven't even felt the need to go into the others. I plan on eventually. I own Cities, I own Babel, I don't have Armada yet. I do plan on playing all of those, but for right now I've been pretty content with the Wonder Packs, the card packs, and then Leaders. Leaders to me completely changes the dynamic. Seven Wonders, while it's a game that I've had for a very long time, and I thoroughly enjoy it, at the same time, if it wasn't for Leaders, it would grow a bit stale. I find that whenever I play Seven Wonders for the first time with someone new and I leave Leaders out, I find that I don't enjoy the experience nearly as much. It's still good, it's still fun, but it's not nearly as much fun. I really love the process of picking the leaders and guiding my strategy and then deciding whether to give it up for coins or to play it for its ability. And I love the what Leaders adds to Seven Wonders. In my opinion, I mean, like I said, I haven't felt the need to touch Cities. I plan on eventually getting to it. I haven't felt the need to touch Babel. I plan on eventually getting to it. But again, Seven Wonders really just benefits from a better ecosystem of expansions that It's a Wonderful World has not yet had time to benefit from. So that's it. That's my opinion. Oh, and lastly, It's a Wonderful World will sadly be going away. I did debate strongly on this, so this was not an easy decision. I kind of wanted to see him give it It's a Wonderful World, more plays, give it more time, see if it grew on me more. But at the end of the day, I'm not as called to it. I do want to play it, don't get me wrong, and I very much debated keeping it on my shelf, but I'm always trying to cut the number of games. I'm always trying to get rid of games because I want the best of the best. And It's a Wonderful World didn't put up as much of a mental fight. When I eventually said, okay, that's it, I'm done, it's over, I was okay with that. I find sometimes just the process of deciding, and I mean this in all aspects of gaming, sometimes the process of deciding really guides you a lot more. Sometimes you're looking at a Kickstarter and you say, you know what, I'm not going to back it. And then there's mental angst, and that helps guide you. And sometimes there's no mental angst, and that helps guide you. Similarly with games on your shelf, when you say, you know what, I'm done with it. Depending on what happens next, that can often guide you and tell you, you know what, I actually really kind of want it back, or I actually am fine getting rid of it. And in this case, I am fine getting rid of it. Anyways, that's my 2 cents, that's my opinion. Have you played both of these games, and if so, which is your preference? It's a Wonderful World gets a lot of love. Take that into account. As always, my opinions are my own, and It's a Wonderful World is a game that people genuinely seem to enjoy. The second Kickstarter with a bunch of expansions did fairly well. It's a good game, but then again, so is Seven Wonders. Which one is your favorite and why? Anyways, I'm Alex from Board Game Co. This is, the usual should you play it. You can subscribe down below. You can like this video, share it. Check out my other videos on Kickstarters, topics, board games, the games leaving my collection. In fact, I'm doing another games leaving my collection video shortly for May, and It's a Wonderful World will be in that video. Until next time, have a good one. I'm Alex, and have fun.